All right, JMichael, I appreciate you joining me for this review of the service. I know we hired a VA for you, and I'm excited that she is up and going. How would you describe your overall experience with the hiring and onboarding process of your virtual assistant?
Well, to be honest, in the beginning, I was a little over the top inundated by, all the nuances, all the questions that you guys were asking me. But I came to find out they were all for good reason. Um, Having been through it before, you guys kind of knew what questions to ask. So, what I thought was a little too much work on my part in the beginning was actually just the perfect amount of work because it helped you guys narrow down the VA that would be best suited for me.
Okay, good.
So
And
I'd
yeah, go
I'd
ahead.
rate it amazing. I'd rate your service as amazing.
All right, awesome. I appreciate that. All right, and then would you use our service again? I sounds like you would, but what are your thoughts?
I have been contemplating how to use your service again, um, because I want to hire multiple VAs. So I was figuring after Shania gets all set up and running, and she's doing her thing in a business, all the tasks that I have for the next person, um, I can actually help her utilize your service to help us bring more people on. So one thing that doesn't get asked enough or doesn't get shown enough is like the actual process of hiring somebody is tedious work. And everybody thinks, well, I can do it myself. And yeah, maybe you can do it yourself, but there's different cultures, there's different time schedules. You know, if if you've worked with somebody from another country and they're on a different time schedule, you have to ask and you have to be on task with them all the time. Uh, and it just makes it a challenge if you're not in HR, right? So it pays dividends to actually have an HR company go ahead and move in and help you hire the person, and then also help give them guidance. Give them guidance on this, not just how to do the job because they can't how to do the job for me, but the little points like how to message back and forth and keep everybody on task. And if you have a question, they're extremely friendly, like my VAs from the Philippines, but sometimes they're friendly to a fault because then they don't come back and tell you, hey, I feel uh, a certain way, and they just don't know how to explain themselves. So it's almost like putting that HR company, your Crükus marketing, in in between really helps solidify and bring it all together, pull it all together. So yes, absolutely, I'd hire you guys again. I will hire you guys again. I just need to teach Shania how to utilize your service so she can hire for us.
Yeah, that's good. We don't mind that. So the communication is always a thing, right? When you bring on a client for any kind of service, the level of communication is a big customer service issue. So how would you rate uh, communication with this?
Well, I'm not very technically, I'd say savvy on some of the like using Slack. Um, so for me particularly, it was a lot of it was a big learning curve on how to actually get in and do the communication. But overall, it's great. I'm not a communicative, technologically, adept person. I do a lot of stuff face to face, so that was a challenge for me. But they did ask all the right questions and they followed up, and for me, that's huge. Follow up is where you make it's your bread and butter of any business. So the follow up was terrific, and therefore the communication stuck.
All right, and what about the onboarding process? Kind of like once you chose, okay, yeah, Shania is when you want to hire, um, from that point forward.
I mean, it's been great. I'm I'm super thrilled at how she's working out, and the actual management of the person behind the task. So I can manage the person with the task that I give them, but the management behind the person, how they set up. Basically it's an HR thing, and I've never been part of HR, and I don't care to be part of HR. I'm an entrepreneur that does real estate and other business and construction and development. I don't want to learn another trade.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So it's been fantastic. Really, it's been fantastic.
All right. Awesome. I appreciate that. So during the onboarding process, was there anything that stood out, like as a kind of one of those aha moments? Obviously, I mean, you mentioned the time deal, right? They're on a different time zone, and communication can be something there. I know we took care of that for you, which I would love that for myself as well. Our HR person actually, her shift starts on. She works Filipino daylight hours. So she's working nights here, so that a lot of work gets done while
Uh,
I'm asleep. But during that, the entire hiring process, really, was there anything, an event or anything that stood out? You're like, wow, I mean, that was a big deal for you.
that aha moment didn't happen till the end of the first week after Shania had actually come aboard. That was the end of the first week when things started solidifying, and she was able to do what she needed to. I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Of
Yeah.
course. Um, um, that really didn't solidify until the end of the first week when she was being led by me to do the task, but also led by you guys on how to interact with me in the best way possible, and helping keep the lines of communication open. So that aha moment didn't actually happen until that point. And I have to say um, that getting back to the whole the whole gist of our conversation right now, um, one of the reasons I actually asked to do a testimonial, which I never do, right? It's because as an entrepreneur, you don't know what you're missing by by outsourcing the actual HR hiring process to another company, unless you've done it before. And I have to tell you, it was such a pleasure working with you guys, not just the hiring process, but the pre-hiring process, getting together and figuring out what I wanted, and then also the hiring process and sorting through the contacts, and then also the actual hiring interview with me and you and assistant. It As an entrepreneur, you don't know what you're missing um, by not having an HR company, but by not having an outsourced HR company. I would recommend it for absolutely every single one of my colleagues that is in business for themselves, even the people that are part time, because um, these VAs that you don't have to hire a VA for full time, you can get one for part time, and it is incredibly useful, and your service just kind of solidified and brought it all together. So my part about this testimonial is really, I just wanted people to know, hey, these guys are legit. I've had so many people offer services, and big, huge companies too. $2,700 for this thing, $1,500 for this thing, $700 for this thing, $5,000 for this thing, and their promises fall short. They're what they say they're going to do and what they actually do, they always fall short. You guys actually went above and beyond, so I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled. I can't wait to use you guys again.
Wow, those are big words. Really appreciate you saying that. So the next question should be, I guess, very appropriate, but I think it'd be good to have officially is on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our virtual assistant hiring process?
I mean, from what I've experienced, at least a 20, and I believe it can be it can go up from there even.